I have not, and that's what I want to talk to you about that.
Terry on vacation?
Contract.
Okay.
That's right, because we don't need.
Charlie, sometimes you gotta state the obvious, don't you?
Hey, this is the July 24th work session of the Elizabethtown City Council. Ron Thomas.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day. We thank you for this community. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Elizabethtown. Heavenly Father, we thank the individuals that work so hard each and every day, whether they be paid or whether they be volunteers, whether they be community members that strive to make Elizabethtown a great place to live. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the rain this weekend, badly needed by those that produce the food that we so much depend on. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us during this meeting, that the decisions we make will be pleasing to thine eyes. Heavenly Father, we ask these things these days and every day in thy holy name. Amen.
Pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item, I don't know if you all know what busking is, as opposed to busing, which is
I had to learn
taking
that.
on a bus, or
Yeah.
busing as
What are
in
we talking about?
kissing, or,
Yeah.
thank you.
I thought they were talking about courting at first.
Yeah.
That's kind of
That's what I
courting
thought. Literally panhandling with an instrument, I guess. So it has come up, and so we thought we better address this. So Mr. Pope has become in one day the expert on busking, and the same thing, courting.
Yeah.
Whatever.
As the mayor said, busking is the public performances. So it is protected as artistic free speech. So the city can make limits, but we are limited in what we can limit. So you can, like I said, look at it from a public safety standpoint, and that's the position that we're taking at this point. There are a couple points that just want to share with the council on how we will handle this situation as it comes up in our community. And that is, administratively, our position is that this is somebody who's performing. So they're operating a business, they're soliciting funds, so therefore they need to have a city business license. As far as locations, because it is protected by free speech, they're allowed to perform wherever they may choose. However, if it is on a business location, of course, that's up to a private property owner whether or not they allow somebody to perform that way. In the downtown area specifically, the concern being blocking a sidewalk or doing something along those lines. So the position we're going to take is that we're going to look at these as we have with the cafe permits that we ask you all to approve an ordinance on, that we're going to assure that the sidewalk is open for people to pass properly. That is from both a ADA standpoint for accessibility purposes to the general public. And again, just the general public being able to circulate on a public sidewalk. Also going to look in those areas where we have issued the cafe permits downtown. And if somebody wants to set up in those areas, we'll probably restrict them, because we've already allowed through the permitting process somebody to infringe on or take space in the public sidewalk, I guess I have a better way to say it. And therefore having two people in that same location may cause some safety concerns and along those areas. Just in general too, even though this is protected by free speech, there are some things that can be limited. That is, any individual is not allowed to present pornographic information or obscene information and stuff. That's, even though you have the right to free speech, you don't have that right in our society. So the other thing that I know comes up a lot with downtown events is the fact that, again, the city has designated, you all have the downtown events area. And in those instances, we turn the public spaces over to those event organizers. So we're going to take the position administratively that when somebody has that approval to have an event in that area, they are the ones that control that space. So their decisions on who is allowed in that space and around that downtown event that they are organizing will be their decision. In the case of city events, when we organize a downtown event, because we charge a fee to somebody to participate in that, and limit, then we assign spaces and limit both vendors and those kind of things, that in those times that we will place limits on that. There are other areas in the downtown that are available. That's one of the things that the case law says, that you can regulate time, place, and manner. So from that standpoint, when we do have an event and we've said we are going to control the space for vendors and pay fees, that we think we're still going to be able to, if somebody feels they want to have that right of free speech, we will still have other public areas that they can do that in, just not in that event space where we're kind of controlling and regulating things and charging fees for stuff. So I think that's in summary. I'll try to answer some questions. Charlie and the mayor and I have talked about it some today. Dee Dee and I met this afternoon. As the mayor said, I've been reading some court cases and other ordinances from across the country today, trying to get up to speed. So there are, I mean, some people do go pretty far in some of their regulations with ordinances and those kind of things. We're not proposing an ordinance to you all, anything new at this point. We think just handling things with a business license and trying to work with folks and use good common sense is the approach we'd like to take it at this time.
And in a situation that the city really owns a sidewalk, and I'm thinking, let's just say either the antique store here, North Bryan Scout or something like that, and somebody's outside playing there, who decides that? If Mark and them really don't want somebody outside, do they get to move them somewhere?
No, it's a public, it's a public sidewalk. What we're going to try to do, Marty, in those cases, if we hear from a business owner that they're concerned, that we're going to take a couple things. We're going to look at where the person is set up to see, again, to make sure that we feel that the public can get along the sidewalk safely. We're going to try to assure that people can get into the business safely. Because again, even though it is a public sidewalk, there are under the building code and then under the codes that the fire department is concerned about. I mean, we need to get people safely in and out of buildings, not obstructing those passageways so they can have proper ingress and egress. So, I mean, we'll look at those situations and again, from a common sense standpoint, try to work with somebody, but because it is a public sidewalk, they have the right to set up there. Like I said, we're going to try to work with folks and say, you know, if this is a situation, can you move here or do this? Or guess what? We've got a public space that's maybe more conducive. Can you set up in that location and stuff? But they have the right to be on the public sidewalk.
In, for lack of a better term, let's say an organ grinder with a monkey
I was thinking the same
pops
thing.
into town and
Goes back to your childhood, doesn't it,
Yeah,
Thomas?
yeah, so when I got through school. But starts, you know, cranking out music down there on the street. We're saying that he has to get a permit from us.
He has to get a city business license.
And how about if they are actually using animals in their act?
Animal must be licensed.
You know, all these things that Chief Schiller
Yeah.
brought all these down. He was the one that let us know it's called busking. And he
Busking.
did a lot of research. And animals are addressed in these.
In
I
some-
know you
in-
haven't had a chance. to
Yeah,
go
and
through all
so,
those.
and some of the communities that have ordinances, I mean, Bill, they have a lot of information about animals and those kind of permitting and stuff. I mean, at this point, I mean, I think, again, we're going to take try to take that common sense position. And if it's not an animal that's biting or causing some problems, then, I mean, if somebody has the organ grinder and the monkey, Ron, I guess they're going to have an organ grinder and a monkey on city sidewalks.
So
So when they come.
Wearing
get
a diaper.
permit, are we
Yeah.
charged for that?
Yeah, a city business license costs you, and it's an annual
$400 or something?
business license that you get. Mhm.
So the fellow walking down the street who throws his guitar case down, opens it up, and you throw change in there,
We're-
he has to come over here first.
He has to get a city business license to do that. Yes, ma'am.
is that what we're proposing here, or is that what we
That-
say?
That's the position administratively, that's the
Oh, okay.
position we're going to take. If it comes up, we're saying we think there's already a city ordinance that has already been adopted that says if you're out there doing a business, and if I've got my guitar case open, I've got my monkey next to me, I'm soliciting funds, I'm making money, they're in business. So they need to have a city business license. We're not asking you all to adopt a separate ordinance about this. We've looked at it, and administratively, we think we can say you're in business then because you're in our community and you're making money. So we can charge you for a city business license. So we're going to ask that they get a business license. Like I said, it's free speech. They can set up on the public sidewalk. They can set up on Walker Square. I mean, we're not saying you cannot have that artistic expression. We're just saying to do that, we think we have the right to charge you to have a city business license.
Don't want to,
It doesn't
Pick
address
one up.
panhandle.
What?
Standing there with the sign saying,
What did
I'm
you-
on a panhandle, I'm hungry, I need money.
Mhm.
This doesn't address that.
Right, there's a whole other, we're gonna talk about. in a few
Yeah, I
minutes
think-
Addressing panhandling.
Yeah, we've done some reading on that too, but I think Jamie gets to talk to you about that one.
Permit on that, okay.
all right.
But it's
Do
about
other
the same.
cities charge permits? I'm just curious.
For,
Oh my gosh, Key West, it's
Oh, yeah.
$150. You
Yeah.
gotta have insurance. You know, you
Yeah.
wanna talk about that.
Yeah, they're-
You don't want to see their identification.
yeah, yes, I mean,
You go, girl.
the concern in going much further, Cindy, is, again, because it is protected with some of the amendments to the Constitution, is I think the city has to be very careful in going through that process. I mean, the mayor points out the ordinance that we found from Key West, Florida. I mean, they had a series of public hearings. They set up 2 committees to review all this. They have some really detailed definitions. Yeah, they have fees that they charge. They have a drawing because they limit the number of certain types of licenses that you can get. But yes, they charge a license fee and those kind of things. There have been some communities that have tried to regulate the locations. That has been struck down as not permissible because it, like I said, it is the right for free speech. Now if you do it certain ways, there are certain limits that you can do it. But like I said, we're not proposing that we go that far today. We think we've had the question raised from a number of folks. We think handling it at this point with the business license and then us just trying to, like I said, apply some common sense on some safety issues and protecting the public in general, that we can address the situation.
Ed, or don't want to pick on a particular group or anything, but what about religious groups? And I guess that would be, that appear down here occasionally on the weekend and pass out. Is that busking? I mean,
They're not begging for money. They
no,
just have a
right. I know
bucket.
No.
that. I'm saying we're not begging for money. They're not
Right.
performing, but.
No, that's what I mean.
free speech.
But busking is an artistic performance. So I'm singing, I'm juggling, I'm dancing, I'm doing,
Right.
some
they can do
artistic-
that. Those people are.
yes, that's just-
That's
just free
That's
speech.
what I was getting at. Yeah. That's what.
But no, busking is specifically defined as performing for,
Well, I would
funds.
say that some of those people that get out there and hell and brimfire and everything, they're performing, but maybe
They're
it's not
putting out a tip jar.
busking.
Those folks have to abide by the same rules that is talking about.
Yeah.
Sidewalk has to be
Yeah.
accessible.
Oh, okay,
They can't walk access.
Right.
okay. But they don't have to have permission of the city to do that.
No, they don't.
Okay.
You mean they don't have, they don't have to get a license?
you don't have to get a
Right,
license.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell my monkey.
Almost got a monkey sale.
Yeah, let's sell.
Special, July.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll keep
anything
you all,
else?
posted as we move ahead. Like I said, we don't think we need to be much more detailed at this point, but if you all get inquiries or have questions, we'll be continuing to do our research for you.
Really, really appreciate it because I know we've already had one person busking and the busier our city gets, I don't know that we'll be like Key West and have to do a lottery in November to see who gets to busk. But anyway,
I wanna see Ed Pope go up and talk to the guy that's got the boa constrictor around his neck. So you gotta have a permit.
I think you'll send Jamie for that one.
I'm not afraid
so
of
the
snakes.
other thing we've been talking about are people out blocking traffic, collecting money.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for letting me talk to you all this evening to talk about this topic that we feel like is important, which is collection points. This is something that we've been looking at for a couple of years now. Currently, we operate under City Ordinance 07-2000, which talks about the permitting process for allowing folks to stand on the highway and collect money. And part of that requires, the safety vest, signage, or your use of a public safety vehicle. This past year, 2016, we issued 18 permits. This year, so far, we've issued 26 permits for people to collect money on the highway. Now, those numbers do not account for the fire department numbers, which in May, all of our local fire departments go up and collect money. And on average, our fire department has stood up there 9 times in the month of May collecting. And we don't count, so for Valley Creek or Central Hardin Fire Department, those other fire departments that do this, we have no idea how long they stand out there, or how many times, I should say. And so far this year, we have 9 permits that are outstanding right now, and the last one is for November the 25th, as of right now.
Is for when, Jamie?
November the 25th, that's the last one. And part of the permitting process, they're required to be a nonprofit group that has ties to Hardin County.
Right here. Who's the last group? Shriners.
Shriners, yes, ma'am.
Shriners, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I apologize that the way I'm talking about it is a little bit out of order from the packet. I had already sent it to Mary before I kind of rearranged it a little bit. On the first page itself, the traffic counts on 31W. This is kind of what's alarming for us because the number of traffic that goes through on a daily basis. And as you'll see, those numbers, those are daily traffic count numbers. And the newest ones that we have are 2016. We don't have any 2017 numbers, and these are provided to us by State Highway. according to our stats, approximately 80% of all the crashes that occur on Dixie Highway. 15% of those are within a 1.5 mile section, which starts at Gray Street and ends at South Wilson Road. So from Aldi area to South Wilson Road, which is where Cheddar's is, 15% of our crashes occur right there. 216 in that area where most of the collection points take place. It is our opinion that based on these numbers and what we're experiencing, seeing a higher volume of collection points, it's our opinion that the city should stop allowing or permitting for collection points altogether. And on the last part of your packet, you'll see a letter which was sent to us from Chris Johnson, who is one of the legal staff for the Kentucky League of Cities. The chief and I have had a couple conversations with him about this, and based on his experience with other cities that have stopped this, which are Winchester, Cynthiana, Mount Sterling, Carlisle, Georgetown, Berea, Nicholasville, and Richmond. All those cities have ended their permitting process and allowing solicitation on the highways. It's his opinion that if the city allows permitting for these types of collection points, then the city will probably bear some form of liability in the event that something were to happen to someone out there on the collection points. We've started fielding a lot of complaints from citizens on the collection points, traffic issues, etc. And, you know, they're right. It is causing a problem on the traffic flow up on North Dixie, especially. Really, the only other places that they have the permit or that we've taken permits for are North Mulberry and Ring, and then Ring right next to Target are really about the only other places that we permit for. Everybody else wants to be in front of Walmart or right there, Kroger at Town Drive coming southbound.
But we're not proposing just stopping it there. We're proposing any place where speed limit is 35 or higher.
Well, yes, ma'am, altogether. We have during our discussion, we felt like that since we have issued the permits, we should honor those permits through the end of the year. Those folks have made arrangements to, get volunteers together to do these collection points, and we felt like we should probably honor those just based on that because we've already issued the permits for them.
Jimmy, as I look on that, obviously the animal shelter people are local. Are these others local? That are still the.
You have the Shriners. There's a homeless group from, I'm sorry, not the homeless group, the group from Radcliffe who is collecting for the homeless shelter that they're trying to build. I think the American Heart Association is another one.
Are they Heart of Hope? The Heart of Hope?
No, it's a different one.
And you understand why they want to do it. I mean, my gosh, you go out there Saturday morning in front of the mall and Walmart, you know why they want, and it pays very well. It's the same reason folks want to panhandle out there. It pays very
Sure.
well. But it's also a safety issue.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and we're not, it all started up, remember, with Crusade for Children. And it's a wonderful way to collect money. And you want to comment on, are you ready? Can he comment?
Yes, ma'am.
now
Yes,
on,
ma'am.
Sure.
Don't leave, Jamie.
I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere.
Do you want to comment on how the firefighters feel about
Well,
this?
we've noticed it the last couple of years. We're getting more hostile reaction from drivers. We also noticed that the traffic count's larger, so it's much faster. Used to, when we started, we were actually down in front of First Citizens, and you would meet someone that was a local person, and they would back traffic all the way back up to the square. And then that would make everybody move slow, and they could see, and they'd reach in there, get their, wallet or purse or whatever, and give money. Now traffic moves by so fast, and man, if they see it's a green light, they're not paying a bit more attention to us than a man in the moon. We've worried about it. We've been looking for alternative means to collect money over the last couple of years. With our new payroll system, it allowed us to do a deduction for city employees to be able to deduct. We've contacted other businesses along that same idea. We're going to put some booths out to where we can collect off the street. Kroger's always been a good partner with us, and they have like a Saturday. So we're going to explore those opportunities and get our guys out of the roadway,
So you will
regardless
be-
of what the ordinance
You'll be
is.
meeting with also the chiefs from the volunteer
Mhm.
departments to go over this with them.
Correct. We have a chiefs meeting every month. It's already been this month, and I explained to them that there would probably be changes coming up. At the very least, some additional signage or something like that. But I do agree with Chief Schiller and Jamie that best medicine is just to do away with all of it. And then there's no, well, I didn't know. And well, we put these signs up, but they're the wrong sign. You know, you just get away from all of that stuff. So they've been forewarned, and I will, you know, whatever your final decision is, I will carry that back to the Chiefs Association and let them know.
Mark, we obviously have discussed this informally before this came up, in a couple of points that we made when we talked about it. Number one, I know it would be impossible to make an exception, or probably not wise. I specifically said, are we going to make or consider making an exception for the Crusade for Children, which is probably the oldest group that has collected this way, you know, that we know of. And again, I think we all agree that if you make one exception, you know, you've opened the door, and that's not good. Secondly, I guess I'm concerned, and I expressed this, and you know, I think most people agree. I certainly don't want this city, and by the way, Jamie, I think the cities that you mentioned that have done it, I agree, but I don't think any of those participated in the Crusade for Children. I don't think they were, and the Crusade for Children obviously is one of the greatest things this state, you know, that has. I don't want us to get, you know, a black eye, and I know that we can't say, okay, we'll let them do it, but you know, I think there ought to be some way that we talk about this with the Crusade people. I mean, with their leadership, and say why we're doing it, why we're considering it, because we are one of the biggest contributors to the Crusade. And I don't know, but I would imagine that a big percentage of our money comes from roadblocks, or maybe
Yeah,
95%.
it does. We're, like I say, we're actively pursuing finding another means of revenue that'll get us somewhere near that amount of money. Crusade is a WHAS television crusade that started back in the 50s. And so basically the counties that are in that viewing area are the ones that participate in Crusade for
Right.
Children. So you get over to around Lexington where they don't get WHAS. They know about it, but they really don't participate in it. In fact, State Fire School didn't move away from the Crusade weekend until just this last year. And that was, you know, they assumed that was part of the reason they had low attendance, was because a lot of the fire departments were collecting for Crusade. Like I say, we've been trying to make some changes ourselves, because we realize, I mean, I've been standing out on the roadblock and have semis shoulder width. I mean, if I move one way or the other, I'm going to bump into a semi. So it is dangerous, and we know it is. We've been trying to think of ways to get off the road, and this is a catalyst to get that done, and we'll continue to collect money, and we'll continue to find other ways to make that revenue.
Well, and I'm not opposed, but before we would take official action, I certainly would be reluctant to do it unless we heard something from the Crusade. I mean, that's my concern. The others are very worthwhile, but that's the oldest group. And I don't want us to get a black eye and say Elizabethtown has now banned roadside collections for the Crusade for Children. That's a
How
big
did they
concern.
do it in Louisville?
Well,
Baytown,
like the city
Louisville?
of Louisville did not start participating until about 2000. And I think they may do it one day. They have one collection time a year, and that's the only time that they do it. I know I grew up there, and every volunteer fire, I mean, you couldn't go 2 blocks without running into another
And you still
collection point.
You
Yeah.
still can.
So I think that's just how that's done.
And they do it one day?
No,
Well,
no.
Louisville used to. Now, I'm not sure about the volunteers outside of the city of Louisville. I'd say they probably do it.
More certainly.
Yeah,
more than
we always tried to divide it up between all 3 of the working shifts, and we would just have one company pulled off line to collect, and that gave us 9. You know, we did it three weekends in a row. Each shift got a day, so that made it 9 times that we would collect, and we were averaging 15 to 20,000 over those 9 days. So we're just looking for ways. The city has graciously, like I said, allowed us to do payroll deduction. This year, that looks like that's going to come in around 5,200. So there's a third of it. We're going to take a page out of the Salvation Army and do a hanging boot, and put that in some select shops around where people can put in, and they can still call. We put it on our Facebook page that if you call us, we will send a uniformed firefighter to your door and pick the check up from you. And if you want to make it out to a family member, we'll make sure that it gets read on television. So we're still doing that side of it.
But what you're talking about, payroll deduction, is only for the Crusade for Children.
Yes, all of that. Well, we just started that. I think this year will be the first full year that we've done it. It looks like it's going to be like, say, 51 or 5,200, and all of that money will be donated to the Crusade for Children. Plus, Fort Knox Federal Credit Union, basically, they have a payroll deduction system that they use, and it's split between us, Vine Grove, and Radcliffe, where they have offices, and each one of us gets it at a different year. So there's 10.
I think United Way does a payroll deduction as well.
Mhm, they do. United Way also has a payroll deduction.
Well, before I would give my blessing, I'm for it, but I certainly don't want Elizabethtown, because you don't know how it would be reported, but to say Elizabethtown now is not going to allow roadblock collections for the Crusade for Children.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to contact the Crusade folks. They're very understanding. They're very good at what they do, and their lady left a large sum of money, and that is an endowment, and that's what they run the operation on. So 100% of the proceeds go back into the community that they were collected from. That neonatal floor at HMH was built with Crusade for Children money. So it is a very good organization. We plan to still participate, and we're going to work hard to make that revenue up in a different manner.
Again,
But
I think we would have to work hard, because again, I think 90 or 95% of the revenue that is collected in this area for the Crusade is roadblock.
it is. Valley Creek did a very long roadblock this year, and they made quite a bit of money off of it. So they're going to have to find other revenues.
What if Valley Creek, and I'm just throwing this out, what if they got permission from Walmart to set up, where a lot of the homeless people beg up there at the end? What if a fire department wants to set up on Walmart property up there? Private. You know where I'm talking about, right at the end there, where occasionally people say will work for food or.
That is private property, but our ordinance requires a permit.
Okay. On the private property.
Yes. It is in the right of way area where those folks try to collect money. So technically, they would require a permit in that particular area. Now, of course, if you're down in Walmart's parking lot, that's private property.
Okay.
Any other comments, views, questions?
I agree with Jamie and Mark. I've received complaints as well. I've seen accidents when the roadblocks were. I've seen traffic backed up and blocking the intersection. Of course, those lights are timed to have the most efficient traffic flow. When those roadblocks are there, it does cause a problem. And I share Ron Thomas's concern about how E-Town looks with this, but I think ultimately it's a safety issue. That's the way we need to put it in context.
And like I say, we have looked at it the last couple of years, and we have actively been searching for other revenue sources. So we're on it, and working on that side of it. And I think it is the best for just for the safety of the community and the firefighters that are out there.
You got till November to get another permit to get out there.
Well, that's true. I could.
Forget there's open spots.
We asked them today to just hold off on issuing anything till we made a decision. But, I agree. It's not just Crusade for Children. The veterans that are raising money to bring the replica of the Vietnam Wall, they go out there and they fill every lane, and they just bring in buckloads of money. It's been wonderful for them, Shriners, but at what price?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Well, guys, you have until August the 7th
Okay.
to decide if you want to.
Y'all could busk downtown.
Can I borrow the monkey?
It's expensive.
Good idea.
Good
You use
idea.
Walker Square.
Yeah,
Time for
absolutely.
Bonzo.
There you go.
Thank you all.
Hey, thank you all very much. I know a lot of research, and I appreciate it. Robert Bush, you got some ideas on how to collect money?
Sure, yeah.
You just tell us about spending money.
I need to leave my guitar at home, though, I can tell you that. Wouldn't be.
Keyboard's a saxophone guy.
Probably trombone, actually, to be honest with you. Yep. This is an update of our Foxborough Estates project. We've made a little headway in our design, and the recent flood on Friday, June 23rd, pointed out a few subdivision level problems at street crossings, and also some of the neighborhood came and talked about the individual issues. Our prior approach has been in the subdivision to focus on segmenting the work, a specific solution for a specific problem, and addressing, these things individually as they came to us. Instead, we're going to take more of a top to bottom approach with a complete design involving basically new piping is kind of the system that you can see here. New piping, and this is the crossing downstream of Covington Ridge Basin, piping element here, and then more piping beginning here at Birch and down Redbud. This is the crossing here at Martinez. Currently, there's a pipe here in this location. We'll improve that pipe, expand its capacity a little bit, extend on down here to this location at 414. There's an existing ditch that we've done some work in the past with, to pipe that, and then bring this pipe system even further south to a crossing down here at Chestnut. This piece, we haven't got that element in this drawing tonight, but to show you. but stormwater system all the way down through Chestnut. This will necessarily affect the properties that you're seeing. It'll affect, if you go down Desiree, it'll affect these parcels down here because, obviously there'll be some increased flow from these improved facilities. So we may indeed, it'll involve all those people, and they'll obviously need to have some buy-in. Our next step is to finalize this design. We're well on our way with our design, but we're right at the point of trying to outline the impacts to utilities in the area, and there are going to be significant water, gas, other city utilities are going to be involved. So we're trying to assess that right now in our design. Our next step after that will be to perform an estimate of cost, and we'll base that, whether we do it in-house based on materials only, or whether we have to go to contract, that would be materials and labor. After that, we would take the opportunity to meet with the neighborhood, try to convey our project scope, what we're doing, and the items that we're showing you here, that they are understanding of that and have neighborhood buy-in. And then we'd wait authorization to proceed from you all. So that's kind of the status we're in right now.
I have a question. Where the pink is that existing pipeline now that you're just replacing?
No, that is proposed at this
So
point in
we have
time.
no drainage there now.
There is an open ditch. There's a rock ditch right there.
There's where the outlet of the pipe is,
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
existing and crosses over.
There is a current pipe there at Martinez too. So there is. It ranges at the upper reaches in the 30-inch. Starts off with a 30-inch system. This would convey a 5.58-inch rainfall event. That's our design approach. 30-inch going down here, then it changes to 36. This is a 48 here, and then it picks up to a 54. And then back here probably would move to a 60. So it's going to be, I think we can do it with ADS, and it might make it a little more manageable if we do it in-house, but those are decisions left to be made.
All of that is ditch now?
No, this is just running in open ditch right now currently. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Robert, how will this affect residents downstream? As
Well-
you make your way towards, Hank Village, does it eventually go to Village?
It eventually crosses Ring Road at the condos down there close to Freeman Lake. So it eventually gets down into that watershed. but it's, I mean, it's part of the same watershed. But there's no doubt it, you know, the water's getting there. I don't know if effect is there's going to be, the effect is going to be, there'll be improved conveyance system here in this location. They'll still see the same water downstream. It'll just be fairly efficient. Well, it'll be not necessarily faster, but it will be better accommodated, and it'll get there without the tremendous impact as far as velocities when it overtops streets and has that negative impact. Well,
You got it all channeled one way.
yes, sir. Okay.
So go back up to the property across from Miss Owens' house,
Yes, ma'am.
because that, where that water is ponding there, where it's getting to the street is because they don't really have a ditch there.
Right,
anymore. It's all
yeah.
filled up.
It would require deepening this ditch to basically, there's quite a bit of water. This whole watershed upstream here gets down through there. So this ditch would have to be deeper and then get into this pipe system here and you know, it's quite a bit of water. So yeah, this ditch would have to be more reliable. What's happening now, I think it breaks over this roadway, contributes to Miss Owens,
Right.
Miss Owen, her issues. In addition, you know, some shaping and grading in this ditch along Miss Owens' side yard, I think is in order. Because I think some of the same, it looks like this, and you can see it here in the contour, this escapes and runs down. It's a coin flip, whether it goes this way or this way, right? Right as it stands. So we'll deepen this a little bit so it gets into a inlet box down here.
Is Miss Owens 420 or 604?
She's 420 right there. Sure is.
And the 602 and the 604 for that's that property on the other side.
Right.
of Where the basin is.
Right.
Okay. That
And-
vacant lot is above them.
Yeah, there's really been no change in the development of this watershed upstream of this Owen. But I think it's just the conditions of that ditch and is contributing to her issues right now. But that's our status right now. I don't know if any other questions, anything, anybody?
It was working this weekend. I mean, that little quick little burst that they had. But it seemed like it was flowing the way it should flow.
We only hear from them when there's a really.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like June
Councilwoman Walker went out
23rd.
there and said,
We go out and check these every time there's a thunderstorm, and it looks beautiful out there. And
It was
I can't
working.
take a picture of anything overtopping. It's not there.
I went out
Yeah.
Sunday with the storm.
She
and I
said
took
some good
photos
pictures.
and like a little babbling brook behind Martinez's house, everything was going fine, so.
That's what we want.
Yeah, it was.
All right, that said, thank you all for the time.
Thank you all
Yes,
for
ma'am.
the report. Hey, you guys have anything?
Yes, Mayor. I want to thank Chief Malone. They will be bringing out the fire trucks from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They will be in the Hardin County History Museum parking lot. So they will be having those on exhibit. So come on out, see the
For this
fire trucks
weekend?
for this weekend. So come see the fire trucks and pop into the museum while you're at it.
That's a good draw.
Guess we'll love it.
So is there anything else going on this weekend besides the fire trucks downtown? Some old cars?
No fire
Old fire trucks. Okay, anything else?
I'm gonna go feed my monkey.
Lon and his monkey.
That's crazy. I knew what you were gonna say.
You don't have to do an article in the paper about it. Okay.
Nip
We'd
what
all
you-
like to give a quote in regard.
Yeah,
Yes.
nip that in the bud.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Charlie, Dee Dee, did you all see this obituary last week? Did you all recognize her name?